How you doing? My name is Jeff Schell, and I'm a chief scientist and oceanography professor with Sea Education Association. This is a fun day for us here on board the SSV Corwith Cramer. We have an open ship for the community here in Woods Hole. So we're inviting folks to come aboard and learn about some of the things we do here. One of the things we do here at SEA is we take students out to sea so that they learn to love the sea. And they do that by becoming sailors, mariners. They're a crew member on board our ships. So they're learning how to set all of these sails, work all of those lines. But they're also going out to sea as scientists. So they are also studying the oceans, getting familiar with these sorts of sounds as a ferry is leaving the dock here in Woods Hole. But as sailing scientists, they're also learning to study the oceans. So we're welcoming members from the community on board our ship today to learn about these things, to explore the sails, the lab, and the science that we do.
My name is Ryan Reed, and I am the oncoming chief mate for the next couple of programs. So it's like one step below the captain. And basically I'll be coordinating all the different activities and evolutions on the vessel, making sure people are in the right places at the right times, organizing the schedules for the students as well as the crew, doing all the things and making sure the ship runs as smoothly as possible. So we do several programs throughout the summer. We'll leave from here, and it could be anywhere from sailing out and around Nantucket Shoals, hanging out in Buzzards Bay, or going up through the Cape Cod Canal and hanging out in Cape Cod and chasing whales and doing whatever the science department wants to do.
I'm Mackenzie Meyer, and I am the first Marine Tech on board the Corwith Cramer.
My name's Allie Fox, and I am also the first Marine Tech on board. Taken over from Kenzie when she's done.
I mean, the ocean tells us a lot about our planet as a whole, which I think is one of the reasons ocean research is so cool. We are obviously a land-centric species, but there's so much to learn about how our climate and weather work from the ocean, how our ecosystems work from the ocean as well.
It's really interesting on its own as like a fascinating part of science, but it also has a lot of impacts on us and on our own health. Like the health of marine organisms and the ocean impacts our food, it impacts our air, our ability to swim and go to the beach, even everything big to small, we are impacted by the ocean as well.
We bring students on board to kind of do their intro to oceanography research. And so we teach them how to deploy equipment off the side of the boat, like our CTD, which is an instrument that measures conductivity, temperature, and depth. We also can do discrete water sampling with the Niskin bottles. So those are bottles that we can close at certain depths in the water column. For example, we measure chlorophyll A through our discrete sampling of Niskin bottles. We also can measure for pH, nitrates, and phosphates in the water using our lab on board. And we have a sediment grab on board as well. So we are sampling the sea floor, looking for organisms down there. We also have a few nets on board, so we can deploy nets either to sample the surface layer and gather zooplankton from the surface layer. We can gather phytoplankton, look at our phytoplankton composition and community here. We also have deeper nets that we can deploy deeper in the water column. All of these tests we do on board the Corwith Cramer, so the students will get to deploy the instruments and equipment off the boat and then come back into the dry lab and actually run the tests aboard and get real-time data, which I think is really exciting. We're not waiting, sending stuff back ashore to actually be able to look at the numbers and the data that we're gathering aboard the ship.
A lot of stuff here is from things like net tows. We have a little aquarium right back here that we've been keeping alive for the past weeks since we started our trips. And that has a couple pufferfish, some other fish called sticklebacks, as well as shrimp and a little crab that likes to hide. You might not see him. And some isopods, which is another crustacean. And then we also have in this jar, which looks like just kind of a bunch of sand in water, what we actually have in there is mostly copepods, which you can see up on the screen back there. So those are plankton that we catch a lot in our net tows, and that is a big food source for many creatures in the ocean, and it's also the food source for our little aquarium out here.
So we also have a few sets of instruments that we're using to record continuous data as we're sailing through our waters. So we have 2 acoustic instruments. One's a bottom profiler, which maps our bottom as we sail along, and the other's a current profiler. And we use this to map the current of the waters we sail through. The current profiler uses the Doppler effect, bouncing off particles in the water column to tell which way those particles are moving in relation to our ship's heading. And then we also have a constant flow through. So as we're sailing, we're constantly bringing water on board, and we're running it through the instruments here. And that's giving us a live feed of what our temperature, salinity, turbidity, and chlorophyll A are looking like in the water as we're sailing along. We have the students kind of monitor that data throughout the day, and so we'll catch any big changes that are happening, but we're also recording it and stowing it in our computers. So we have that continuous data file of those numbers from our entire cruise track.
Located in Woods Hole, Falmouth, Massachusetts. We operate 2 sailing vessels. They are called sailing school vessels. The Robert C. Siemens operates in the Pacific, and the Corwith Cramer operates here in the Atlantic. During the academic year, that's the fall and the spring, we offer undergraduate study abroad programs on our 2 ships. And during the summer, we offer high school programs on the Cramer, and then we also offer some shore-based programs for high school students in the summer. All of our undergraduate programs have a mix of sciences and blue humanities work. And then for our high school programs, again, they go out to sea and they learn the ship's navigation and sail handling, do a little bit of science. And then our high school campus-based programs are more like college seminar, where they learn about oceanography and marine science, but they stay here on campus for 2 weeks and they don't go out to sea. Understanding the life cycles of little things like larvae help us understand fish that we like to eat, which helps us understand the whales that like to eat those fish that we like to go out and look at on whale watching trips. And so we're connected to the ocean in many ways, and studying the oceans is a privilege and an honor to be able to do.